Function. There's a lot to a function. There's a lot I could tell you about a function. But we're just going to focus on one aspect of it, which is substitution. This whole section is just going to be about substituting in a number for x to see what the function equals. That's it. So let me give you an example. This is a function, y equals 3x plus 4. The test we just took, everything we did last week, was all about solving for x. What does x equal? We don't have to do that on this test. No more solving for x. You're welcome. I know that was a tough test. I'm sorry that you had to start the year off like that, but keep your head up. This one's going to be easier, and you guys will get that grade back up here real quick. Because all you got to do now is substitute in a number for x, solve this side of the equation, and you'll know what y equals. So how do we know what number to put in for x? Well, they're going to write the function a little bit differently than the way I have written it right there. Instead of using a y, they're going to use an f for function. That makes sense. Finally, something that makes sense. F for function. And then what number do we put in for x? They're going to tell you right there. In this case, I'll just make up a number. Let's say 4. So the function when x is 4. So what does the function equal when x is 4? This is what this is saying. Well, we figure it out. We substitute in a 4 for x. So you got 3 times 4 instead of 3 times x. And that is 12 plus 4, which is 16. So the function at 4 is equal to 16. And that's how you do this problem. No more getting x all by itself and trying to figure out what that mystery number is. The mystery is given to you. The mystery is x is 4. Now you're just substituting that back into the original problem to see what it equals. All right, pretty basic. The only way that this test gets a little bit more complicated is when this side of the problem isn't quite as easy as 3x plus 4. Now on your homework, the first couple sections are this easy. It's just a simple linear equation. Linear means that x is to the first power. If I were to graph this, it would be a straight line. All right, but some of the problems aren't linear. They're going to have an exponent by the x. So it's still the same format. You're substituting in whatever number they give you in for x, but it might be x squared, it might be x cubed. You might even have some parentheses in there. So let's just leave it at 4. We're going to substitute a 4 into this problem. And let's say it's 3x squared minus 5. So just a teeny tiny bit more complicated because we have to square the x first, which is going to be a 4, before we multiply it by 3. So let me show you what I mean. First step is always take whatever number they give you and put it in for x. So 3 times 4 squared instead of 3 times x squared minus 5. Now it's, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, do parentheses first, then exponents. So here we got exponents. 4 squared is 16. So it's 3 times 16 minus 5. And then you multiply and divide before you add and subtract. So we're going to multiply this before we subtract. 3 times 16 is 48. And then you take away 5 and you get 43. Can you see the 43? Yes, you can. All right. So that was it. Instead of just 3 times 4, it's 3 times 16 because we had to square the 4 first. That's all that did, was add one more step. Square your 4 before you multiply it by 3. Okay, now we're going to get even a little bit more crazy and make it cubed. Third power. Say plus 7 on this one, just to mix it up. I'll stick with the 4. So, same first step, substitute in a 4 for the x, 3 times 4 to the third power now, plus 7. 4 to the third power is not 12. It's not 4 times 3. Don't you dare tell me 4 to the third power is 12. It's 3 4s in a row. It's 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So 4 to the third power is 64. So it's 3 times 64 plus 7. 3 times 64 is 192. So it's 192 plus 7, and that is 199. All right, this is about the extent of how difficult these problems are going to get. They're going to try and mix you up here when it comes to x to the third power by giving you a negative number to substitute in there. Let's say it's a negative 3. Because just like 4 to the third power was 4 times 4 times 4, negative 3 to the third power is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Well, when you multiply the first two negative 3's together, that's a positive 9, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Then you throw in that third negative 3, now you got a positive 9 times a negative 3, and a positive times a negative is a negative, so that's a negative 27. So that's the only part that can be kind of tricky, is when you got raised to the third power and you're substituting in a negative number, your answer is going to be negative for that part right there. Because 3 negatives multiplied together always make a negative. Always. So you've got 3 times negative 27 plus 7. 3 times negative 27, well, 3 times 27 is what? 981? And a positive times a positive 3 times a negative 27 is a negative 81 plus 7. So at negative 81, think of money. You're at negative 81 in your account. You've overdrawn your account by $81. You've spent $81 more than what you have. So you're at negative 81. You're trying to get it back to even. So you add $7 in your account. Well, that's not going to be enough to get you back to even. You needed $81 in your account to get you back to even. It'll get you a little bit less in debt. Now you're only at $74 in debt. All right, so that was the answer to that one, negative 74. So that's what the problems for today are like. Just simply given some kind of equation, function, they'll tell you what number to put in for x. You do that, and then please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, just solve the problem. So in my opinion, much easier standard than the first one. Hopefully it'll reflect in the test scores later this week.